right, guys. Hey, I'm back. Mark Pyers, home-based business tax coach and wealth coach, the CEO and founder of the Academy of Financial Education. And as always, guys, on behalf of myself and my beautiful wife and business partner, Mrs. Lavita Pyers, the CFO of the Academy of Financial Education, we wish each and every one of you prosperity, financial freedom from the current system of debt, financial freedom from the plantation of taxation, and financial freedom from being dependent on limited controlled income working for big corporations. And so, guys, with that being said, look, I want to share some information with you today about shifting your liabilities to assets. Shifting your liabilities to assets. The power of operating a home-based business. Guys, look, if you get this, I promise you, you will be in a position to create true financial freedom, okay? And so let's jump into this. Shifting your liabilities into assets. I'm going to lead this off. I was having a conversation with a gentleman about an hour ago. Howard, hey, good evening, brother. I was having a conversation with a gentleman about an hour ago, and I was conducting a what we call my tax report card, and we were doing an analysis on his current tax situation. And this gentleman earns about $100,000 a year. His federal income taxes for earning $100,000 a year is a little over $18,000. Okay, and the gentleman said, "Hey, well, what about my mortgage interest?" Okay, now listen to me. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, says your house is not an asset. And I totally agree with him. I believe in 2008, many people came to realize that their house is not an asset. In fact, unless you are receiving monthly payments from someone that is renting your house, opposed to you giving monthly payments to someone for renting your house and labeling yourself as a homeowner, your house is a liability. Let me give you the definition of a liability and then the definitions of an asset before we jump into this conversation. The definition of a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket with never ever having the possibility of returning more to you. Let me say that again. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket, never ever having the possibility to return more back to you in the form of monetary value, okay? An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, whether or not you trade time for it or not. Let me repeat that one again. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, that brings money into your household, into your bank account, without you having to trade time for it. Let me give you a few examples. Having rental property could be an asset, is an asset. Someone is paying you every month, so you have a cash flow coming in to your house every month. Your rental property is an asset. Your investments are an asset unless you're losing your asset in your investments. That was good. Your assets, your investments, okay, can be an asset unless you're losing your asset in your investments, and maybe you want to change your investments, okay? But investments in the stock market, where you take some of your money, you purchase some stock, and you're earning compounding interest or returns on your investment. That can be an asset, okay? One of the assets I love is precious metals, okay? Physical gold and silver. Now, we're going to talk about gold in this presentation, but physical gold and silver. Not investing in paper gold, which is what people invest in the stock market. I'm talking about something that you hold in your hand, that you control, that you spend money on one time. You spend money on it one time, and you set it and forget it, and it is proven over the last 5,000 plus years to not only maintain its value and purchasing power, but it has increased over 4,000% over the last 5,000 years. In fact, guys, just in the last 15 years, gold has increased in value well over 2,000%. So that is an asset, something that you put money in one time, and it continues to increase and put more money in your pocket without it requiring any time. Now, I want to segue into how a home-based business can put you in a position to take some of your liabilities and convert those into assets. Okay, let's talk about maybe your rent payment. Okay, and even if you own your home, all you're doing is paying rent until you completely own that home, right? If you're paying a mortgage payment, the only difference between someone that rents and someone that's paying a mortgage payment is that the person that's paying the mortgage payment is stuck and dedicated to the debt, okay? And they don't care if you lose your job, they still want you to pay that monthly payment, okay? If someone is renting now, that person can go to the landlord and say, hey, unfortunately, I've been laid off and I can only afford to pay you for the next couple of months. I'm going to have to find somewhere else to relocate, to downsize, and more than likely that homeowner is going to work with you because they don't want you in there just sitting in their house. So you have mobility when you rent, okay? But when you start and operate a home-based business, listen to me very closely for those of you that rent. When you start a home-based business, now you're on a level playing field with someone that is a quote-unquote homeowner, except you're on that level playing field on steroids, because you now get to take the rental property that you're renting and you get the same tax benefits as the homeowner. I hope you guys got that. Shifting your liabilities into your assets buckets. So shifting now that rent, which was a liability that was leaving your pocket, going into the landlord's pocket and never returning anything back to you. Okay? Never returning anything back to you. But once you start a home-based business, now a portion of your rent that was going out of your pocket and never coming back to you with any monetary value now comes back to you in the form of tremendous tax savings. That, my friend, is an asset. Shifting your liabilities to an asset. Let's talk about my vehicle I'm currently driving right now. I call it my AKA gold producing mobile ATM machine. I have literally turned my liability car, okay, which takes a car payment out of my pocket each month, car insurance out of my pocket each month, gas out of my pocket each month. If I did not have a home-based business, it would never have the possibility of returning any monetary value back to myself or my beautiful wife. But because we are entrepreneurs and we operate a legal, moral, and ethical home-based business, now I am getting paid 55 cents per mile to drive what many people have is a liability, their vehicle, that only takes money out of their pocket each and every month. Again, car payment, car insurance, gas, maintenance, tires, you name it, right? And so we've been able to take a liability and shift it over into the asset bucket, and each time that I get inside of this vehicle, it returns monetary value to me in the form of 55 cents per mile, okay, to the tune of $15,000 to $16,000 a year in tax savings. Shifting your liabilities to your assets. Let's talk about one I really love, meals and entertainment, going out and patronizing our favorite restaurants, okay? And I'm talking about guys not eating at Denny's. I'm talking about going out and having the tomahawk steak. Okay, my wife can contest to that. Okay, having the lobster and having the crab and having the shrimps. Okay, and having that liability that many people go out and patronize those restaurants with after-tax dollars. We go out now, we patronize those restaurants, and we get a 50% tax rebate for going out to dinner and enjoying ourselves. That's shifting your liabilities to assets. Let's talk about that cell phone that does nothing but bring you a bill each month. Well, when you decide to get started in a home-based business, now you can shift a portion of that cell phone bill, okay, back into your pocket to the form of tremendous tax savings. I turned my phone from a liability into a income-producing device, shifting your liabilities into assets. Let's talk about your children. Now, I know none of you want to call your children a liability. Look, I'm not saying that your children is a liability. But what if you could take up to $6,000 of the money that you currently feed, clothe, and give them for their, after-school programs, or maybe their weekend activity? How about them Jordans? Them Jordans are a liability. Take money out your pocket, never ever having a possibility to put money back into your pocket. How about being able to turn those Jordans from a liability into an asset, returning money back to you in the form of $6,000 in tax-free income, shifting liabilities into assets? A home-based business gives you the ability immediately to shift up to 90% of what you're currently spending money on. That is non-tax deductible. That means that you have to pay taxes on that money, and then when you go out to spend that money, you get taxed. My wife and I were out at the store the other day, a Home Depot, and we looked at the receipt, and there was $8.29 in taxes on the money that they had already taxed us on before we got the money in the paycheck. Okay? This is, my friend, the number one financial cancer that is killing people today: taxes. Taxes is your number one financial liability. Going to work for paper money is your number one financial liability. Going back to that gentleman earning $100,000 a year and losing $18,000 in federal taxes alone, that is a liability. But I was able to show this gentleman two of the tax deductions that I just spoke about. Two. One of them being my vehicle. One of them being his vehicle. And he was able to take those two tax deductions and realize how to turn that $18,000 of lost money in the form of taxes, how to take that $18,000 and trim it down to $1,532, and he only has to do two things. One, start a home-based business, and two, track those activities, shifting his liabilities into assets. What would it mean to your life? What would it mean to your family's life to be able to take the money you're currently already losing and be able to take it out of that liability bucket and shift it into your asset bucket and create an income, and nobody but you get a vote? That's the power of starting a home-based business. So guys, look, I got to get off of here. I'm about to hit an area that's going to be real bad for the coverage here. But I hope you guys got value from this. Comment, like, and share. Get plugged in. Get informed how you can shift your liabilities into assets and create a monthly income back into your household. And by sharing this with others, create yourself a possibility of building a residual income that comes in while you're asleep. I'll leave you with the words of Mr. Warren Buffett. He said, if you don't find a way to make money while you're sleeping, you're going to die working for money. With that being said, guys, we'll see you on the next live stream.